You're tuned in to the Behind the Ears podcast with Uncle Danny and Mr. Chris, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Expedition Roasters is the artisanal roaster of specialty Disney-inspired coffees. Why not brew some of the magic at your home? Some of our coffees include Skipper's Brew, Ghoulish Delight, Enchanted Tiki Coconut, Redhead Rum, and many other unique roasts. Our coffees are certified gluten and allergen-free and feature unique custom artwork by guest artists. Expedition Roasters offers an adventure in every bag. So start your adventure today by visiting us online at expeditionroasters.com. That's expeditionroasters.com. And Behind the Ears listeners, be sure to take advantage of this exclusive offer and save 20% on your first purchase with code EARS20. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place. Do you have a little one and don't want to bring your stroller from home? Have you destroyed a stroller in the past from all the wear and tear from a Disney vacation? Well, Kingdom Strollers is a great place to rent a great quality stroller at a reasonable price. Kingdom Strollers is a Disney-featured stroller provider, which means they will be delivered right to your resort, even if you're not there. Same thing for picking it up at the end of your trip. So if you're in need of an affordable stroller rental during your next Orlando trip, consider renting from a Disney-trusted stroller company. Visit kingdomstrollers.com for more information.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of You Guessed It. Or maybe you haven't guessed it yet, and maybe you just stumbled upon us. I am Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. This is the Behind the Ears podcast, where we talk about all things Disney. Mr. Chris, how are you?
I am doing great, and I am not even the slightest bit concerned about missing anything from the Olympics right now.
I thought opening ceremonies were tomorrow.
Well, there was something going on tonight.
Of course, there's always something.
There's always something going on. You know, but you know what? You want to know something? You know what? You know what sport I really want to see?
Curling.
I know I mentioned it last time. I was like, I want to see curling. This looks so cool. That is going to be the up and coming sport of this 2018 Winter Olympic Games. I really truly believe it. It's going to be so cool. I mean, it's like we were talking about it at work today, and it was like everybody's like, yeah, that's going to be really cool. I mean, granted, I like a good hockey game.
Not anymore.
Why not?
It went old school. No pros anymore. No pros are allowed to play in it. They went old school. Like when the last time this happened is when the U.S. beat the Soviet Union and eventually went on to beat Finland, where they made the movie about the miracle.
So this
1970, whatever it was.
So this is going to. Oh, curling has already started. So here's the question I have then. Who are they having play?
I mean, you got to try out for the team. So it's basically minor. You cannot make money and play, so you can't even have minor leaguers. So it's basically college kids.
So you could have actually had a chance of being at the Olympics, couldn't you?
I tried out for the Olympic roller hockey team. Obviously didn't make it, but yeah.
Olympic roller hockey team?
Well, it's Team USA. You don't really play in the Olympics, but that was the cool way of me justifying the fact of I tried out for an American team. I played for my state, though.
But I knew somebody that was actually in one of the Paralympic games, and they played sledge hockey, and it's when they won the gold medal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was before anything like that was actually really televised. It wasn't even streamed. I mean, this was like 10, 15 years ago. And
you know what? I'm going to have to cut you off there because we're going to have to end this show early. So thank you, everybody. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. We're going to watch Curly. It's on right now.
oh, quick. Where's my TiVo app on my phone? Because I have to. Yeah.
Get it recorded.
Okay, so let's see. Go to TiVo. Go to this TiVo.
Like those, you ever watch it? Like when the German women, they are them and the Finnish people.
Oh my gosh, it's vicious.
They, I don't know. Wait, that's not. What is their vernacular for Finland?
They're Finnish.
Finnish? It is Finnish. Okay, I felt like a dummy for saying that, but then I was like, maybe not.
I mean, if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, people forgive me for my ignorance. I will.
I said it first, so that's why I was hoping maybe you knew. Well, the people from the land of Finland, they are extremely good at the sport. Extremely good. Love it.
For some reason, my TiVo app is no longer installed on my phone. That's it. We'll just have to have a good show, and then I'll, if you see me yell.
Let's talk a little things going on here. We'll talk a little news, talk a little fast passes. We'll probably somehow veer off on food.
Well, I got some interesting stuff, and I realize for our podcast listeners, this will be old news, but as everybody hopefully is aware, or at least if you're in the Midwest, you're aware, there's a big old snowstorm that's coming through. And we're expecting here in the Chicagoland area, now they've raised it up to somewhere between 10 and 14 inches of snow tonight, like within the next 24 hours to have that much snow. And the interesting part is that Southwest Airlines started canceling flights for tonight, for arriving tonight. So people that, like my wife actually knew a few people that were trying to come home today from Orlando, from Disney on Southwest, and their flights got canceled, even though it's really not that bad out right now. There's a little bit of flurries and stuff like that, but it's like one of those things where it's like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous right now. So, it's kind of one of those cases where it's like, even if a snowstorm starts coming through, you really gotta kind of have to watch out, because there are people who are going to be trying to get out to go to Orlando. There are people trying to get home from Orlando. You just gotta have to be prepared for some of those things, and it's gonna be a big one. I mean, most of the airports are going to be closed at least for most of the day tomorrow. Saturday is going to be a nightmare. It may not get back into normal until Sunday. It's kind of ridiculous. This kind of snow is the big disruptive kind, and I'm really surprised that it's not being predicted for your neck of the woods.
Oh, thank goodness.
Are you really not?
As my Disney trip approaches, I've been watching the radars more and more. Now, granted, radars are only for daily. I try to look at big nation radars and just see like what's kind of rolling through. Yeah, just clumping along. Those rain showers in Texas somehow turn into like 18 inches of snow for us. Because last time I was in Disney, I had this issue of trying to get off the ground, and unlike Southwest with their leniency with changing flights, I travel with an airline that I was gonna make a joke, and I'm gonna hold off.
Well, actually, if you say the name of the airline, that is a joke.
That's true too. Oh no, I don't mind Stone Spirit. I was talking about what me and you were talking about between. I was gonna mention that, but I was like, I'll probably leave that one off.
That.
Speaking of snow, have you been able to see some of the pictures that are being posted from Disneyland Paris with the snow cover? I posted a video in the community of them on their, I don't know what ride that is.
That looked like it was Thunder Mountain.
I didn't know if they had a Big Thunder Mountain.
I believe they do, and it looked very much like it, and it was really kind of interesting to see it with a light dusting of snow on it. Maybe, the equivalent of about a half inch of big fluffy flakes. That looked cool. I mean, was it you or was it somebody else to ask, are they still going to have the 3:00 parade because of snow?
That was Tristan. I give credit where credit is due.
That was funny because it was like, some of the pathways, you could see where the snow was kind of, piled up from shoveling and things like that. And that was really cool to see that. I mean, you don't think about going to a theme park when it's cold. And like we have amusement parks here, Six Flags and stuff like that in the Chicago area. And of course it's closed. its last day of operation is, Halloween for like the whole, Halloween
I think
Horror
that's
Fest.
when ours is too.
Yeah, I mean, it gets very minimal schedule until Halloween, then it closes for the winter. So I could not ever imagine being on something like that, um, something like that year round. But in that picture, there was a couple of people you can see there. I myself, I think I would love it. I think
Oh,
I would.
yeah.
I mean, I don't mind the cold. I mean, let's face it. Disneyland Paris is, it's in a very mixed climate area. I mean, it's not a summer destination. Let me rephrase that. It's not really warm all year round. Even though they have a good summer. I think I'd love to see it in the wintertime. I mean, in person, that picture was beautiful. And I kind of thought to myself, what would I do? But I thought to myself, it would be a great time to get winter Disney clothes that were park related, because you can't always find that sort of stuff at Walt Disney World in the wintertime. I mean, granted, I have a couple nice denim jackets that came from Walt Disney World in the wintertime, because that's usually when they would have those things. But there it would be even easier because they have a need for the heavier outerwear. So that was really
funny.
cool.
When I was there for Marathon Weekend, you saw them pulling out sweatshirts and jackets. You're like, those normally aren't on your shelves. Like, they almost had like that very thin layer of dust. Like, when you walked by, you had that strong odor of box. And you're like, yes, you've been sitting on a shelf somewhere.
It's like, ooh, that new box bell. It's like, wow. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I want to talk about what I would say is probably the biggest news that's honestly hit the Disney company. And I say Disney company since it has nothing to do with Disney World. But has anybody, or Chris, have you seen this proposed idea for the new Disney park over in Japan?
I did see that, which is supposed to basically complement, Tokyo Disneyland as well as Disney Sea. And I saw how it was kind of like taking up this, do I want to call it a small slice of real estate that kind of like borders both of them? It would almost connect both of them.
Yeah, did you like, those are all homes there, people. Those are apartment complexes that Disney just kind of went in and was like, yeah, we're going to buy up those 18 blocks.
But keep in mind something, though. If I'm not mistaken, the actual property and everything else like that in Tokyo, and I do want to be corrected if I'm wrong on this, I thought that it was actually not necessarily owned by Disney.
Well, they own, I think the Japan one, I could be mistaken. I know I'm not far off. I think they own like 48 or 49% of the park. Disney owns, they don't have the majority.
I was going to say, they don't have a controlling stake in it. So the thing is, it's that someone
none of
else
their foreign parks, except for Paris now.
Right. So the fact of the matter is that somebody else is making the decision to expand. Granted, Disney obviously has to buy into it, type of thing, but someone else is proposing this idea. In my opinion, this is just Mr. Chris talking.
Yeah, I think I've the funny thing is, I've read some of these contracts. Like I always joke about, I know very little about Disney movies, Disney music. I'll even go as far as saying, Disney higher ups. Like Mr. Sklar, that's a big name for you. To me, I was like, sure. I mean, I've heard the name in passing. I've read about the name, but I never had that emotional connection with. I've actually read some of the contracts that you could find if you dig. I've read one of the contracts. I believe it was for Shanghai. Now, Shanghai, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mixing up with Japan, Shanghai's government actually owns 51%. Now, when I say Shanghai's government owns 51%, there's a sole entity that is represented,
a holding company
for the government. It's a holding company, but essentially, if you trace the holding company, it's a holding company for the government of Shanghai. But there's a clause in that contract that any expansion that they do, like how they want to build Toy Story and everything, even though it might be funded by the holding company, has to be pre-approved by Disney, even though Disney does not own because it's still intellectual property.
Exactly. It makes total sense that way.
But what this one is, Disney's Tokyo, they have the Disneyland essentially, because I mean that's what it's called, and that'll resemble basically the one out in California, the original. They also have the Disney Sea, which is that ocean themed, almost like take 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, like we had at Disney World, and make a park essentially around that. It's actually some of the music. If you go back to listen to some of our earlier podcasts, a lot of the music we actually have. Some of the overlay music, old loops, was from Japan's Disney Sea. But what this one is supposed to be is now, yes, I'm going to read off the screen, people. So before you yell, moving walkways. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking. It was a video playing in the background. Moving walkways would transport guests from place to place, like as a riff on its Disney Omnimover style boarding or the People Mover rider system. And while no specific attractions have yet been announced, a jet plane simulator is said to be part of it, which emphasizes on technology. It would also be the first park without paper ticketing of any kind. Guests would use their smartphone app to enter the park.
Now, if people had that around here, you would hear the outcry of, well, I don't want to have my phone. I don't want to have to be tethered to my phone. Or maybe some people even say, I don't even have a smartphone. In Japan, obviously, it's most likely a big, big difference in how they do things there versus here.
Tokyo Disney Resort is rumored to be repurposing a parking lot for the project, and with its footprint being significantly smaller than Tokyo's two others, theme parks enthusiasts are speculating one thing will set the expansion apart from all the other Disney parks. They'll build upwards, multi-story buildings, ride atop of rides, vertical attractions. It could all fit perfectly within the horizon gazing theme. It's possible too that Tokyo Disney Sky could serve as an overseas home to additional locations of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge themed land, which is set, obviously to open, in 2 years in Disney World, and also Pandora themed. So basically, what they're building is a giant Disney Quest on steroids and bigger.
You know what? That's actually not a bad way of putting it, because I'm sitting here and thinking it's going to be tiered. You're talking probably like, okay, you know how like some cruise ships are like have big gigantic openings in the center where like you have the hotel rooms and then like look down into a big gigantic atrium type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually could picture some of the attractions basically, as it says, go upward. Each level that you go up is a different land. Instead of having the hub and spoke mentality, you just go upwards. First floor, Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Second floor, Fantasyland.
That's actually kind of cool.
I mean, it is actually kind of an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, granted, it's. I'm going to use the term violate. It kind of violates the term of what we as Disney fans recognize as a standard, because even you go into Epcot and there's a little bit of a spoken hub there. You go into Magic Kingdom, obviously that's where it started. You go into Hollywood Studios, and it doesn't really seem like it, but from a distance it really is. It kind of spokes out from that area right in front of the Great Movie Ride. In Animal Kingdom, all spokes out from the Tree of Life, with the Tree of Life basically being the hub of this everything going around it. So if they do this sort of thing, I think it would be pretty awesome to see it. But it would deviate from what we consider to be a standard in theme park construction. Not a bad thing.
I think that's why they have a 4-year window on this.
What do you
Less
mean-
of a
what do you mean?
footprint. They're building it. They're talking about a 4-year window.
I mean, to build a whole new theme park in 4 years is a very, very aggressive type of thing. But
Is it? They're doing this for Star Wars. They're doing less for Toy Story.
it's not a whole entire park, because some of that
But
infrastructure.
this is basically a building.
No. I get it. But what I'm saying is, well, size-wise, I bet you any money if you compare the size of it, it's going to be, smaller than smaller than most anything else. 4 years probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But
Now here's the big question.
Hmm.
I didn't mean to cut over
that's
you.
okay. Go ahead.
To build this, are they going to go through the same nonsense that we saw them go through with the Yeti? Because are they going to build a level, put the ride in, then close it off, then put the next floor, put the ride in, then close it off? Because when you think about it logically, that would be the quickest way to do it. Boom, boom, boom. One floor at a time, bang it all out. I mean, maybe not to the extent of like fixtures and things like that. You can go in after that. But when it comes to like laying the steel and just moving up that way, but at the same time, now that I think about it, no, probably structurally sound, that's probably not the way to do it.
I'm betting they're going to use a form of modularism.
Build it off-site and bring it in type of thing?
If not build it off-site, build it so that things can be somewhat compartmentalized.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, the whole concept of what happened with the Yeti was something of... It was kind of a successful failure, right? It's not stopping the ride. It's not... it's been like it longer than it was for working. It's that type of thing. But people want to see the Yeti actually work again, and they're not going to be able to do that until they do a massive reconstruction of the attraction. They have to learn from that. I'm sure they did.
I'm sure they did.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. Imagineering is of the sort of, you have to learn of what doesn't work. And something happened. It was an oversight. Boom. I would feel very confident that if they do this, type of stacked attractioning, it would have to be modular. It would have to have the ability to basically reconstruct portions of a certain structure without interrupting anything else in the rest of the structure. The only way they could do it is modularism. And if you think about it, even like the contemporary resort was originally designed with a modular component in mind. Unfortunately, there were some things that happened that kind of prevented some of that modular flexibility to actually become a reality, or not become a reality, but for it to, act like it was supposed to act down the road with reconstructions. But they have to do it. And also, think about this. I have to give credit where the credit is due from an engineering standpoint. If there is ever a nation that can squeeze the most out of any sort of space, it is the Japanese. And I mean that with the utmost of respect, because they have the ability, they can see things at a different scale, I think, than a lot of us Americans. And I bet you anybody, it's going to be fabulous. So, I don't know, Danny, if you just locked up or not. I'll continue talking for a second. So, it's kind of interesting when Danny accidentally kind of goes offline, and I have no idea what he was going to say next. And as you know, we are an unscripted type of scenario, so we'll just have to see how it goes from there. So I'll go ahead and talk about something else. Some of you might already know this might be coming, and that is about the annual ticket price hike. That's right. It's coming. It's one of those things where it happens every year, and there's a lot of different places that are announcing that it might happen within the next few days. In fact, while some people might say it's only a rumor, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen as, you know, it's going to happen as a case in point because Undercover Tourist, which is a third-party ticket, reseller, who is not a sponsor of the show, but I've been a customer of theirs a few times. They're basically talking about how the tickets they currently have in stock are probably going to sell out quickly, right as people are trying to prepare to get their tickets before the price increase. So that being said, you can almost be pretty sure that the price, yeah, you're going to be pretty much sure that the price increases are going to happen. So Danny, now that you've saw that, or that now that you're back, and you probably missed what I was going to say. I mean, you've seen the stuff about the up and coming price increases, right? Yes? No? Maybe?
Hello?
Yeah. I see you. Do you hear me? I guess not. So
I'm back.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Hold on.
Okay, so I know what happened.
It's going to be one of those nights.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, we were talking...
Did you hear anything I said?
I heard everything you said. Well,
but did they hear?
No, they didn't. Oh, yeah, they did.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, they did. Can't do anything about any sort of echoes in the audience. As long as I don't hear an echo, I'm fine. Only because I'm the one that's doing the recording. Yeah. Price increase. You've heard about it. It stinks.
So let's move on. The next big thing I'm seeing is the rise in popularity of this millennial pink is basically what it's being touted as. Is it's not only iPhones and beauty products and home decor that are getting this rose gold upgrades that we've been seeing everywhere, and it's not even clothes anymore. It's now cupcakes. First up, the Main Street Bakery has backed up some fresh velvet swirl cupcakes. The red velvet swirl is topped with a mini vanilla cupcake, rose gold buttercream, chocolate crispy pearls, and a chocolate rose gold mini ears.
I don't like red velvet.
I know, but that gotta admit that sounds good. If you're in the mood for a straightforward rose gold cupcake from Sunshine Seasons in Epcot, you'll get a mouthful of vanilla cake with hazelnut swirl, rose gold buttercream, the ears, of course, and edible glitter and chocolate pearls. Or you go over to Hollywood Studios. This is what I like. It's not the same cupcake everywhere. I think that's a really good idea. Hollywood Studios, you can grab a strawberry rose gold cupcake with strawberry icing and crispy pearls at the Trolley Cafe. And lastly, if you're in the mood to stroll down the Disney's boardwalk, make the day complete with a rose gold yellow cupcake. Or take the monorail over to the Polynesian at Captain Cook's and Kona Cafe. You can snack on a rose gold vanilla cupcake with guava pastry cream.
Okay, there you go. That's
the guava pastry cream.
Yeah, because that just makes it sound unique. That makes it sound unique where I'd say, yeah, okay, I'd do that. Because you know what? Strawberry. Okay, strawberry. Vanilla. Chocolate. Guava. Ooh, wait a second. You have to try it because when was the last time you had a guava flavored anything, let alone a cupcake? Am I right?
I agree. Now, you can also head over to the Gasparilla Island Grill at Disney's Grand Floridian, and you can get a rose gold unicorn cupcake with rose gold sponge and hazelnut cream cheese filling. Or if you don't want a unicorn, I don't know what the unicorn stands for, don't ask me. You can go to Beach Club and you can get a strawberry chocolate mousse cupcake with buttercream icing without ever actually entering the park. Now say you're like, hey Danny, I'm not a sweet tooth person. I would say I would agree with you. What do I have in store for you? You can go to the Polynesian and you can get a rose gold margarita.
What?
I told you it's rose gold everything, man.
But what's a rose gold margarita?
I guess they just changed the color. I don't know.
But I mean, is there anything different about how it's supposed to taste?
I don't think so.
Okay, because here's my take on it. Okay, I understand. I may not have. I may not be the biggest fan of rose gold in of itself, but if you're going to make if you're going to make a color of some sort, try to at least put a distinct flavor with it. I mean, having a buttercream frosting, that's wonderful, but just to put color in it, could you try to do something a little different with it? Could you associate a flavor? I had the same problem with the gray stuff. I mean, the gray stuff, you didn't really know what it was supposed to taste like, and some people actually said it. Some people thought it tasted like kind of cookies and creamish. Some people thought it just tasted like a buttercream frosting. I don't know, but it just seems a lot. I mean, it just seems like it's a lot, and I'm not knocking it or anything. I'm not going to knock something until I try it, but it just seems like an awful lot of. I know it's probably the point, right? But it sounds like it's an awful lot of sugar. It's like you eat that, and all of a sudden, like, hi, how's it going?
Talking about some sweet news. Have you ever seen Steve Harvey's daytime show, the series called Steve? Neither have I. But I know it's out there.
I'm not going to admit it, but I've seen maybe one or two things with it, but I'm not a daytime TV person because I do this thing called work.
Fair enough. March of 2018, they will, for the first time, be visiting Epcot. This is the first time the show has visited Walt Disney World and will feature celebrity families and couples, including the Bella twins, Erica Christian Olsen, and Sarah Wright Olsen. I don't know who those people are. I'm sure someone in our audience is probably banging their head on the desk right now, being like, "How do you not know who that is?" But yeah, they're out there. They're coming.
I'm sorry. I guess I just don't know. Am I a bad person for not knowing who they are?
I'm not hip. I'm gonna do a small video over the weekend of the full menus for the outdoor kitchens at the Flower and Garden, or as I will call it, and I've called it several times, Wine and
Dine Part 2.
Wine and Dine 2.0, Wine and Dine Junior, whichever I feel like calling it today. So I'm gonna do a full video on that. We talked about Nick Foles and the Philadelphia Eagles. Did you happen to notice? I just put it on my calendar and I forgot to talk about it. But back on the 5th, so 3 days ago,
sure,
you could have celebrated National Pizza Day at Pizza Point with a free slice at Disney Springs.
I missed out on free pizza.
I mean, you weren't in Disney, but
you
would have flown down just for that.
Free pizza's free pizza. I mean, it's pizza. Simple as that. As I said, even bad pizza is still pizza.
We sat and we just went over the whole rose gold thing, right?
Sure.
And we talked about how it's such a fad, and that everything they're doing, it's just every day you're seeing rose gold ears, rose gold shirt, rose gold underwear, rose gold everything, right?
Rose gold underwear.
Can we bring up the fact that Disney puts out a new Magic Band like every other Tuesday, it seems like? And they always say there's only 500 of them. Disney has now released 2 more Dooney and Burks. Dooney Burke is a white one. The box is actually really nice. I like the box.
There's 2 new Dooney and Burke ones?
They're calling it a cream color, not a white, but it is a Dooney and Burke. And it comes in a specialty suitcase themed packaging. So it's got like all the like fake little stickers on it, and it could be purchased exclusively in the parks for $48. There's also the next Dooney and Burke that's coming out, and this one is the one that only has a $500 piece limit on it, and it will only be offered at they say only, but if they don't sell them all, they'll offer it to everybody else. But I think for this occasion, they're going to sell them all. So you can there's an edition size of 500, and they'll be offered at the 10th Disney Princess Half Marathon Weekend Expo, which starts February 20th. And it will be inside the expo only for $48. This is going to have the 4 princesses on it in a purplish blue, and they'll give you the little slider for the Dooney and Burke. I think I was it Snow White, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and who's the chick from Brave? Or is that her name, Brave?
Merida.
I told you I don't know Disney movies. Don't you laugh at me, people.
That's funny.
But
here's the thing. I used to think that the special magic bands were kind of a money grab. Okay, because they are quite expensive for a piece of technology that is relatively inexpensive. But here's the thing. At first, I was always kind of concerned that when you bought them, they were only going to be good for a couple years because of the expected battery life. Okay. Now, with the advent of Magic Band 2.0, you can at least, have your special band, and when the battery dies in the center RFID puck, you can take it out. You can put in another one from another Magic Band, even though it might have a different color to it, but you're still going to have the band itself. You're going to have the style in the band, because that's really what you're paying for. You're paying for that artwork. Mm-hmm. So I like the idea now that it's more flexible with the Magic Band 2.0, and it's no longer, something that's going to end up being disposable in a couple of years. You can actually, in a way, do a home refurbishment of one. And what I would do, especially if it's one that's a cream or a white Dooney and Burke one, if I got one of the free ones they give you when you make a resort reservation, I would just take the puck and I would spray paint it. I would spray paint it white or a cream color, something that would be very close to the rest of it, so it would at least match. At least you can now do it. You have some, different things, like even with some of the, like the release one for Peter Pan. And that one looked pretty cool. Mm-hmm. If you have to replace the puck, paint it black. You're going to be really close to everything else. So it comes out that, if you want to have that kind of a special treat for yourself, it becomes more of a sensible, longer term, fun investment. So I like the idea now. As I said, a couple years ago, not too keen. Now, maybe I'll even get one for my wife. Oh, wait.
Ooh, look at that. All right, some quick hits here before we get rolling. In Q1 of 2018, reports are coming back that parks and resorts revenue increased by 13% in the first quarter. So that's a good start for Disney. Disney's Hollywood Studios, I know I threw this out there in the WDW community, for the foreseeable future will keep that name. That doesn't mean forever, but for right now, I would say not only is the name safe, but I believe the Chinese theater is safe for now. We'll see what happens in that in the near future. There's some new concept art of the alien swirling saucers that are going to be opening this summer in Toy Story Land over in Hollywood Studios. So go check that on out. A Wrinkle in Time sneak peek begins tomorrow at Disney's Hollywood Studios. That's always a nice little place to go catch a quick movie. Well, catch a quick preview. Magic Kingdom Disney After Hours continues to sell out, which I'm shocked that one sells out. Really, really am.
Yeah, but the whole concept of the name change being postponed. I think there's a lot of people that really are happy about it not going to Cinemagine. I saw nothing but good come out of that particular announcement you just mentioned. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I
think they saw the backlash.
It's kind of interesting.
People are happy.
No, they were not happy, and people were like, "What? Cinnamon? What?"
It was that's an autocorrect nightmare.
Oh, you ain't kidding. Um, yeah, I mean, the thing of it is that I think people are really glad about that, and also I kind of figured they were going to do the preview of A Wrinkle of Time. I think that movie. I think that movie is going to be a pretty big hit, not just because of the story, the special effects. It looks awesome. Oprah is, let's face it, she's a really good actress. She's going to bring that star power to that particular film. I look forward to seeing it. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Hated the book. I'm really hoping that this kind of redeems itself. So I'm looking forward to it. The previews every time I've seen the preview, I'm like, oh my gosh, this just looks better and better. So I'm really looking forward to it.
So the final piece I wanted to touch on, and as I say it out loud, I realize how contradictory I'm going to sound because I've never been a fan of the Flights of Wonder.
Okay.
I just wasn't a big fan of it.
Okay.
So when it closed on December 31st, I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I had heard through the grapevines that they were planning another bird show, and I was like, just leave Flights of Wonder and just make it a little bit better. Why are you gonna just retheme it, right? Well, it has been announced that the opening for the new attraction is planned to be just in the nick of time for Animal Kingdom's 20th anniversary, which will be April 22nd, 2018. Do you want to know what this is? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
It's an adventurers meet up, a great bird adventure. And what it is going to be, you get to hang out with a senior wilderness explorer, Russell, and his furry friend, Doug, as they discover species of birds from around the world in their new caravan theater in the village.
Oh,
There will be up close encounters. I'm so excited for this.
I think, okay, I could see that. And, to tell you the truth, I think that's cool. I do think that's kind of cool. I mean, just the whole idea of bringing the wilderness explorer bit into it. I just think that's funny. I always liked Russell and Doug, and they're kind of underutilized in their role that's outside of the movie, so to speak, if you kind of catch my drift. So I think that's kind of cool. I wonder what kind of theming they're going to have with it, though. I mean, is it going to follow a Flights of Wonder type of thing where they kind of explore it in the same manner? Are they going to do a little bit of a demonstration type of thing? Is it going to be Doug and Russell as face characters? Or are they,
Or are they just going to have a golden retriever and someone's just going to voice over for the dog? Because that would be great.
That would be funny. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking, though. You have some guy that's a face character of Russell, and then you have a actual dog, and
have an actual dog.
You have. Well, I know it sounds weird to say that, but you have the actor that normally does the voices. I mean, think about it. If they could do something like that with Turtle Talk with Crush, they could probably easily adapt something like that to an actual dog. And squirrel. I just see it. I just see it happening. That would actually be cool, and I'm glad. They're still going to do something that is going to be edutainment type of thing. I'm glad. And sure, they're putting a little bit of IP, intellectual property, into it. I don't see a problem with that, in a way. I mean, if it brings people in and they get the message out of, the whole thing regarding, the ecological type of message that they really try to stress throughout Animal Kingdom, I think that's great. I will hopefully see it sometime during my trip this year, which is sometime between now and Christmas. as I keep telling people.
He's gonna keep beating that line in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any final words for everybody?
You know, it's kind of interesting because, there's a lot of different Disney things going on. And, we're gonna be talking a little bit more about some of those. We're gonna probably have an actual news segment next week. So please be prepared for that. And be prepared for that. Why did I say that? It's like you gotta have your popcorn and soda ready. We've got some great shows planned, and Danny and I are actually working on a schedule, and we're going to publish those schedules out so you guys know exactly what's going on. And it's going to be a real exciting time. It'll probably start more in March, mainly when I say the scheduling and stuff, because we're going to do some, flexible shows since Danny is heading down soon. In fact, Danny, don't we have to do a Fast Pass show with you and possibly one of our other friends that are going down to Princess with you?
Yeah. It's we'll see what's even available at this point.
Well, because don't forget, Danny likes to do these last minute trips.
Leave me alone.
Well,
it works for me every time.
It does. It works for you
30% of the time.
100% of the time it works 30% of the time.
It's usually that's the proper math of my life.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny how you're able to get away with stuff like that. It's really, everything from your fast passes to dining to, let's go hotels. Hey, let's rent a car. Oh, the only thing we have left is a BMW. Not a problem.
Story of my life, man.
It's just it's a cast of characters. That's all I can say.
With that being said, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast, Instagram Behind the Ears Podcast, and Twitter, which I've actually been on the last few days. So go check it out. That is Behind the Ears PC. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Behind the Ears Podcast. Don't forget to join our Facebook group. It's got 3,000 members and growing quickly, and that is the WDW community page. Well, just WDW community, not page. It's just an actual page, but you don't have to write the word page in there. I feel like I've just confused everybody more than what it originally was. And lastly, for me, don't forget to go on iTunes and rate and review the show. And everybody, have fun. Have a safe weekend. Stay warm. Everybody up there in the Midwest, try to shovel your driveways out periodically. Don't wait till it all falls and then go outside and try to shovel it. That's how you hurt your back, or worse, snow's heavy. With that being said, check over on the community page. You never know what I'm going to try to put out there this week. I know this weekend I want to get a couple videos out, but everybody be safe. Have a good weekend. I'm Uncle Danny. Cranberry juice time.
And I'm Mr. Cranberry juice. And gosh, I better not get the giggles at the end. And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks for joining us. I ask that you rate and review the show, as Dandy said, but also subscribe to the show over at iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio. It's a live show, man. It's a live show. Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Ask Alexa, Google Home. Go to whatever podcast catcher you use. I got to do this really slowly so I don't screw it up. Right. And just ask it to play us, and we will be played. So I think it's time to start the weekend early, everybody. But until we meet again, thank you so much for your support and joining us this evening, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.